Alright, in addition to some of the stuff I sent over yesterday with regard to the exercise room, there were just a few other things in the basement. This is where we were. And really this is just at these doors, just briefly. I changed this wall 15.9, put out 3 inches more so that in the event someone wanted to put double doors in here, they could. But otherwise, we revert to that. I think what you meant possibly is what to do with this ductwork across here. And I had initially thought, well, we'll just flatten this out here as well. Whether we do something similar here, because maybe that looks a little off balanced, the dashed line coming up this way, but I still think that's probably what should happen to help this flow out. And then I just want to, because if this is going to become a bedroom either now or sometime down the road, I wanted to at least show what was going to take to get this window well in here with what you have out there now with this existing retaining wall. Probably the time to do this is earlier rather than later, so that this can be a reliable bedroom without a safety issue. So that's it. This is the review of what could be done for that, and it's pretty substantial because they've got to remove some of this and get down in here. Going back, this was the minimum 3x3, but I didn't feel these two windows should be two different heights, so I've treated both of these windows, since it's about the same involvement in terms of what needs cut and what needs done to create the window well. And we end up with this. Well, first of all, this door, it could be a little bit wider. That is as wide as, without modifying those interior walls that go back into the closet. This is 2 22-inch leaves. If that can be sourced easily enough, that's as wide as I could get in there, which would be 44 inches open wide. And I suppose you could, if you could get somebody to make a big 4-foot wide barn door, you could use barn door hardware up here and just have it slide, but that occupies your wall. Additionally, I suppose you could have this as a double pocket door on either side. So that's all on that. In terms of this egress window though, creating that, if that's going to happen, we have to get to 44 inches to the sill, and we're currently at 56 or 54, so we have to come down at least 10 inches with that window sill. And the window itself is only 23 inches high, and that's not even close. The minimum egress with that width, 35-inch width, and the minimum height we need for egress is 35, so those become 2 square windows in that corner. If this were to happen, you can see you would have to remove probably about 12 inches of concrete horizontal across there to provide a wood plate here and what we need here. I suppose you could come right down on the concrete, but I'm showing it with a wood plate because it has casing on the exterior if we're going to continue to match that. So that concrete comes down 12 inches, and then if I put the gravel base another 4 or 5 inches below that, that means this window well is going to require a little one rung or something like that in terms of a ladder to get out. As soon as it's higher than 44 inches, it needs to have ladders or steps, but these are pretty minor. 3 foot then deep is the required minimum that way, and I've removed those lower ones because they are definitely going to be in the way to there. And then a little bit further back to get these columns in here, this is 6x6s in the corner. Originally I thought we would need 4x4s at this end to hold, because we also have to add 2 to get that lower depth. So that's what I'm talking about, that this will be an excavation for this to be accomplished in this manner. There are probably other alternatives, including pouring some sort of a concrete curb that goes down 18 inches or so, but that's what I came up with for this, was something like this, where you're adding 2 members here and you're adding 2 members here, so you're going down 12 inches anyway. And then these shots were taken as I was building this, finding what was going to work. You can see that we've added, this is 4x4 at the front end of this to hold these back, and then they're stacked down. The same thing on this end. These 2 are actually new ones, and these are the ones that are moved back behind that. And you can see there's the 12-inch drop in elevation. And that had been my final look, but looking at this, They don't have, these things are just nailed together. They are 8 inches wide, so you'd have to get 8 inches wide. It'd be nice if you get straight up 8 inches by 6 inches. But all of this needs excavated, and so to go down 12 inches. And the thing that really concerns me is this drain, because that also needs to be installed and functional and downstream from where you are, from where the lowest point of that is. And as you know, there is no real downgrade, downslope from the surface, so that existing one must be emptying to a point lower than itself, presumably to the sump. So it seems like probably that is going to be able to be done attached to that and drained to the sump, because I don't know where else that would be draining. It's only 2 feet to the street, and that's certainly below 2 feet already. But with regard to these being nailed, that convinced me that it's, particularly if we use the same matched members, those would just need to be nailed together and buried in the ground with that gravel in front of them. And a similar thing here, these are 4x4s going down, but this column is probably not needed, but there is room for it at that location. So I've left it in, hold this gravel back. This has a drain in it if that ends up happening. And those are the two 35-inch squares with the egress window well. And you would just need one rung here on this flat section to finish that off. So my feeling is probably include this on the construction drawings as an optional thing. Label this spare room or sewing room or office or whatever else you want to name it, but have these details included when and if that's done. Revisiting the second floor and the suggested changes up there. I couldn't find the exact one that we had been talking about, but this was close enough to where our starting point was. I know this door doesn't belong here right now. This is exactly where it is now. There is room for a person to build this out about a 2x4's width here. If they strip this drywall off, they can put 2x4's and new drywall across here in a corner, and then this cabinet depth can be increased to something a little more usable, 15 or 16 deep instead of 12 or 13. And then I started by getting rid of that door. I put the sink up here. I wanted them to be able to just come right in rather than having to walk past the sink and then get in. And then I shifted that a little to allow for a 24-inch cased or 28-inch cased opening here. And these are the clearances that are shown through here. My bathroom is 5 feet from the back of the toilet to the face of a ceramic tile wall, and it doesn't feel tight. So I kind of use 5 feet as my nice, comfortable space at a toilet. The toilet, I've kept it over here, 18 inches from the wall. I didn't feel there was a need for it to be way out here. Kind of get this closer to the paper holder in any event. And I'm showing little 14-inch deep shelves on this side for clothing, folded clothing, and a 36-inch vanity. Now, a few different alternatives to that basic starting point then, which will be when they change the number changes. The first one pushes that shower back into the laundry passage so that the vanity is freestanding out there. This provides a lot of moving around room here. So that's one alternative at that location. And then next, I pulled that back forward, but at the same time, I moved it east as well. So it comes back and goes up there, so we have a little bit better alignment through here between these parts. The vanity is still shown as a 36. You could probably get a 39. I'm not sure what, if you use a freestanding thing, I would say 39 is probably the limit. This door, although this doorway in that push this way, I widened this to 30 inches, up from 28. And those shelves are probably arranged better that way, if that's what happens there. A little more shift here on this just to tighten that up for different sort of alternatives up here, which we had discussed this briefly, but these are some different alternatives up there. Since this was a bedroom back here, this door is only a 30-inch door, and usually I like to see a 32-inch door into a laundry room. So because we talked about something like this vestibule, etc., I gotten involved in this hallway, and I've created a 36-inch cased opening here, which means this hallway is about 42 inches wide here. And I don't know how you want to swing that door. In this way it stays open, but I don't know what we're really accomplishing by doing that in either of those locations, except pushing that back where it's more like a laundry room and less like a bedroom that's been converted. But if we get involved in this hallway wall in the first place, I don't know exactly how this closet, I can't imagine it goes back here. I don't know if there's mechanicals back here or what, but if that's just all hollow there, the next option then is to just eliminate that, increase, almost double the size of this closet in terms of hang space, and move all your linen and blanket and quilt storage out here, in addition to any other kind of things that are whatever is stored in this closet. And then the door has to swing like that. So that is where I've arrived at to this point on the second floor.